What's going on, everybody? Chris Beard here. Welcome to day 75 of the 365 days to understand motivation. And today I got a little bit of a story for you. We'll see how much I can condense. So today, my dad and I decided to go on a motorcycle charity ride. It was a really great ride whenever we were on track. So we actually got to the sign up for the ride. It was kind of late. It was about half an hour before the sign-ups were over. Usually there's a leader who leads the group. They're kind of a group of people just kind of hang out. And then somebody who wants to lead kind of just like waits. And then they're like, hey, let's go. Somebody who knows the route of the ride and everyone else just kind of follows them. So my dad and I missed out on the group. They left like half an hour early. So what we had to do was we had to memorize some of the directions, which was pretty extensive because the very first stop was almost all the way at the Maryland border. So the very first stop was like a 40-minute drive from where we were to that stop. And if you've never been on a motorcycle ride, pretty much they never take the highway. So it's all back roads, so you can kind of just enjoy the ride. So it's going to be a lot of twists and turns. So there's my dad and I try to memorize all these different directions. And I'm like, I got a Bluetooth headset in my helmet. And I have an iPhone with an app with like MapQuest. So I'm like, I'll just hook my phone up to my headset. Because I had my iPod hooked up while we were riding up to the sign up listening to some music. Turned out my phone wouldn't connect to the headset. It sucked. So then there was my dad. He was like, it's okay, we got this. So boom, my dad starts writing the directions down on his hand. I'm like, oh, cool. My dad's adapting on the fly. So the thing was, you can only write so much on your one hand. And so we had to keep stopping, getting the directions out and keep checking them. And I was more upset with myself because I'm like, man, it would be really helpful if my phone would work with my headset. And so what went from like a 40-minute trip turned into almost 2 hours to get to the first stop. And when we got there, the people that were waiting there to kind of like stamp your card, and when we went on the ride, you kind of get you get this card and you get it stamped at the first stop, and the second stop, the third stop, the fourth stop, and at the very end, you get it and put in this drawing and whatever, all that extra stuff in there. So we totally missed out on the first stop because they left because they thought they got everybody already. Whether they left early or not, that's really not the point. The point was we didn't get there in time. So we got to the second stop, though. We got there in time, but it's still the same problem kept happening. We had to keep stopping and looking at the directions because we weren't exactly sure we had made all the spots. Now, there were sometimes we had to turn around and we had to make it back, but we always made it. And then it finally hit me. All I had to do was take my phone and shove it in my helmet next to my ear. And bam, we had the directions right there. When I realized that, honestly, I was like, it's really the simple things that you always overthink. It's always the simple things. And it was something we could have been doing from the very beginning. But because my headset didn't work in my helmet, I was so discouraged. I was like, I can't use my phone now. My phone is absolutely useless on this trip now. And I just totally overthought the whole situation. So did my dad. And it was just the simple thing. Because after I got my phone in my helmet, was it the most comfortable thing ever? No, because my helmet's it's not tight, but it's firm. It's definitely firm on my head because I have a full face helmet for my bike. But it was just that small thing, that little thing I could have done from the very beginning that I totally overthought it because of the convenience of like technology and whatnot. So what can you get out of this story for some motivation? Don't always try to, just because something works a certain way doesn't mean it can't work another way in a simpler way, is what I'm trying to get to you today. I had a Bluetooth headset and a phone that had Bluetooth compatibility. They weren't connecting. All I had to do was shove my phone in my head, in my helmet. And boom, I had the directions. Yeah, it was only in one ear. Yeah. Yeah, it was a little uncomfortable. Yeah. But I made sure that my dad and I got to where we needed to go. And it was just, we were both really happy because it was after the second stop, because there were 4 stops in total. It was after the first 2 stops that I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this. No, I think it was, we met up with the group. Yeah, we met up with the group at the second stop. Went with them to the third stop. And we decided, well, we're going to, I figured out I could shove my phone in my helmet. We're like, well, we're going to try leaving on our own and see how this goes. And it turned out really well. There were some times where I did panic just because I couldn't see my phone, and I knew that every once in a while the app crashes for the maps. So there was me the whole time with my phone like suction cup to my face, wondering, I hope my phone didn't turn off because it's been quiet for a while on those long stretches of the road. But I just stayed confident in my phone and the app, and I pulled through, and it was really just great. It's a great trip. A lot of adapting on the fly and really not overthinking it too much. It was really all about the experience today. It was a great trip. The ride was really only like 2 hours, they said in total, 2 whole hours. Like really, if you just went to each stop, went there, and just like left right away, it really only should have taken everybody about probably a little, like between 2 to 3 hours. It was like an 8-hour thing for my dad and I today, but it was great. I loved it. I thought it was amazing. I had to spend time with my dad. We were adapting on the fly. We were constantly checking, constantly keeping track of where we were. We were willing to try new methods, and we weren't getting upset the whole time. We were staying very calm, very positive, and we just got it done. So that was my story for the day. Not really a whole lot to do with motivation, but I think you may get something out of what I've shared today. So thank you so much for watching today's video. Day 75 of the 365 days to understand motivation. My name is Chris Beard. Have a fantastic day. Peace out.